Federal Drive is presented by GEHA, Government Employees Health Association, proudly providing health and dental benefits to federal employees and their families. Visit GEHA.com.
The Air Force is scrambling to get its employees back online after scores of people were locked out of their computers last week. Computers across the service went into quarantine, a sort of protective shutdown that's routine as cybersecurity measure both in and out of the military. But what's not routine here is the scale of people affected and that at least some of them say they weren't warned in advance. Federal News Network's defense reporter Rachel Cohen joins me now with more. Rachel, great to have you. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Terry.
Maybe back us up a little bit. What would cause a computer to get quarantined?
So it's something that kicks in, if you don't kind of reboot your computer regularly so that the software patches and all the, kind of cyber protections can re-up. If you avoid or if you postpone those updates, right? If you don't use your computer for long enough that it says, oh, this isn't part of the secure network anymore. If you plug in something that's not authorized to be, on the NIPR or the SIPR networks, it can do it. So they're all reasonable, understandable things that would flag, cyber concerns. But the issue seems to be here if there were updates rolling out that either people weren't told about or, they went in to get their computer fixed or like updated ahead of time and it didn't stick or, what have you.
Sounds like it was pretty widespread. So what steps does someone have to take if their computer is quarantined? They have to unplug it and bring it back in?
Yeah, you have to bring it to, your comm shop and they basically run all of the updates that need to be run. They re-encrypt it so that it's, all set up. And so some of that, can be done remotely, which is most helpful for people. But in other cases, I believe for re-encryption, you have to take it in person. And so that, can throw a wrench in some things. I saw one post online from somebody who was saying, hey, I was going TDY, I was going out of town for work and I've tried multiple devices and all of them are getting shut down, and I have to bring them in person to get reopened.
It sounds like this might have a real impact on how people are able to do their jobs.
Yeah. I think there's ideally a minimal impact if there's another non-quarantined computer that you can easily hop onto. I think part of the issue that people are chattering about is not everybody in a particular office or unit got quarantined. So I've seen people saying like of the dozen or so in my shop, only one got hit. I've seen in my one classroom alone, 3 or 4 people got hit. So, hopefully the impact is not widespread enough that you can still kind of do the work on a different computer, or you can, if you're in a class or something, you can kind of piggyback on somebody else's. But if you're trying to get work done that day and it's not something that you can kind of share the burden of, you still have to stop and, take your laptop in or take your device in and you're kind of down for as long as it takes.
Are people concerned that this is a cybersecurity incident, or is this just a factor that folks haven't updated their latest Microsoft app or something like that?
Yeah, I haven't seen any concern that it's, a hack or something. Somebody posted a picture of the, your computer has been quarantined screen that is, the official screen. Yeah. So I had that question too, but I haven't seen really any conversation online about it being anything other than, just a typical kind of Air Force network, or DoD network kind of cyber response. I have asked the Air Force what caused it, and all they didn't give me specifics. So my understanding is not anything nefarious at this point.
And how has the Air Force responded to the impact across the force?
So with not as much detail as I might like. They said we routinely update our network security. You should reboot your computer regularly. You should update regularly. You should, keep your devices online. Framed it really as, this is kind of standard network maintenance. And as we said before, I think we just haven't seen something at this scale. People get quarantined all the time, right? Like this has happened for years and years and years. But it seems like, and again, without the Air Force confirming how many people are affected, it's hard to tell. But the sense is, it's multiple bases, multiple commands, civilian, uniformed. There's more impact than kind of just a one-off, because you forgot to update your laptop or something.
Sounds like we might see the Air Force rolling out some remedial training soon.
Maybe. I think a question I have, and I feel like they should have as well, is, for the people who are saying that they didn't get warned ahead of time, why is that? Is it that somebody didn't see a message saying, hey, this is coming if you don't do X, Y, and Z? Was there a glitch that didn't warn them? Was there a glitch that they weren't supposed to be quarantined and they got quarantined anyway? So I think that's really the next step.
And how will you know if the Air Force is taking that step?
Ideally, they would answer me and say so. It's we'll see. I think people chatter online, and hopefully the Air Force will be transparent about how they're addressing an issue that keeps, online. There's an unofficial Facebook page that people frequent called Air Force Airman NCO, Senior NCO. And it's where a lot of people go to gripe, but also kind of leave a lot of interesting little tips. And, on that page says, tens of thousands. I have no idea, how, I don't know where that comes from. Like I said, the Air Force wouldn't confirm that. But I do think that whatever, kind of remedial training or whatever the cause of this is, I can guess that bits and pieces of it will come out in forums like that.
That's Federal News Network's Rachel Cohen. Rachel, thanks for bringing us this story.
Yeah, thank you.
You can find her details at federalnewsnetwork.com.